Hello, I'm Jack Taylor, and I'm inviting you and welcoming you to Imagine Christmas with me. We're in part 15. Today we are thinking about Solomon. Now, Solomon has been dubbed the wisest man who ever lived. He was a king without equal in his wealth. He was a builder. He was a man who had his arms wrapped around the greatest of treasures only to release it for a sack full of emptiness. He's the son of David and Bathsheba. And again, God takes an unlikely couple and redeems an illicit relationship to bring something good out of it. There are more twists in this story than a Twizzler. Now, Solomon may have been the first person who tasted the question that every child longs to hear each Christmas. It's this: what do you want more than anything? What do you want more than anything? How would you answer that question right now? Would it be a relationship, maybe one you lost or haven't found yet? Would it be something tangible? Wealth, health, a possession? Would it be something significant? Maybe a title, an honor, a dream? Solomon had no limits. He chose wisdom, and he got the gold and the fame thrown in for good measure. This is the ultimate of Christmas presents. He kind of makes Amazon founder Jeff Bezos look ordinary, and there is nothing he cannot do with this wealth and power. And eventually he does try to do a lot. He builds a temple for God, which becomes one of the 7 wonders of the world. He marries 700 princesses, and he takes in another 300 concubines just for good measure. It was his way of making peace treaties with all the other kings around him. You know, when you get wise in your own eyes, you sometimes can forget the wise words of a parent. David, as he was about to die, charged Solomon, saying, "Be strong and act like a man." You know, the 1,000 women was not what David had in mind. But David added, "Observe what the Lord your God requires. Do this so that you may prosper in all you do and wherever you go, and that the Lord may keep his promise to me. If your descendants watch how they live, and if they walk faithfully before me with all their heart and soul, you will never fail to have a successor on the throne." What a promise. Well, Solomon should have been wise enough to understand that the way we live impacts the legacy of those who have gone before us, and it impacts the future options and dreams of those who come after us. He was kind of like a pro athlete who earns his millions and then gambles it all away, leaving his family with nothing. God told Solomon clearly that if he or his descendants turned away from their faith, and if they served any of the alternatives, any of the other gods, then he would cut them off from the land, and he would reject the temple as a place of worship. Solomon knows this, but he still builds temples and shrines to all the gods and the goddesses that his wives worshiped. How can you be so wise and so dumb at the same time? Have you ever known clearly the right thing to do, but not done it? You ever known clearly the wrong thing to avoid, but you've done it anyway? You understand Solomon. Maybe you've grown up in a church and you've heard clear teaching. Maybe you've lived with a good family structure and decided you wanted to make your own decisions. Maybe you have never heard a wise person in your life, and you wonder how you got to where you are. Well, this Christmas, I want you to just take time to think through the choices and decisions you've made that brought you to where you are. Do they mark you as wise or otherwise? Solomon finished life in shambles. Now, we may not choose our beginnings, but often we have some level of control about which direction we move once we get started. Solomon is featured in Joseph's family line. He's featured there prominently. When we come to Jesus, there's another brother who is featured in Mary's line. So come tomorrow and imagine Christmas from the quieter side of the throne.